Welcome everybody to another session of the Yeshiva Classroom, take number 477. And this is being recorded on July 2nd, 2024. And we have a very interesting program for you. And to start off, we want to involve everybody in the program. And this is a Torah chain message. A Torah's chain message. Just like chain letters are sent, they used to be sent very frequently, but we got the letter and we signed it and we passed it on. This doesn't involve money whatsoever. All it involves is a chain of people who will pass on a Torah message to the next person. And by so doing it, we will unwittingly involve ourselves in learning a sentence of the Torah, and we will involve others in unwittingly learn a sentence from the Torah, because we have to prepare it. We have to give it over succinctly. Let me show you what I'm talking about. There's a pasuk in Leviticus, I think chapter 19, that says you should love your neighbor as yourself. You should love your neighbor as yourself. Well, sometimes a neighbor doesn't have the best characteristics to love him, and we see faults and other things that make it difficult. So, but if we look at ourselves carefully, we may find some bad habits that we are doing. And just like we gloss over those bad habits because we love ourselves, so we should look at our neighbor and our friend who may have some bad faults that are obvious, but we have to look over them and see the main points of his character, the goodness. And that's how we should treat this sentence. We should love our neighbors as ourselves. Just like we love ourselves, so we're going to love our neighbors, and looking over that those bad points. Because we all have some, let's face it. So if we can start this chain letter, it's just been going for about a couple of weeks, and some of the people work at the delivery of this very short, simple sentence. Other people, I see, have forgotten some of the key points that we have to look at ourselves and apply it to our neighbors and see to it that they are accepted and liked, because we have some faults too, and so we have to look over their faults. So let's start that chain letter, a chain message, a Torah chain message, and if you're comfortable and you think it's a good idea and you like it, do a few of them to your friends and even non-observant people, because it's applicable to everybody, even to Gentiles. So it's important that we get this letter, message, chain going around and around. And we can do our part by spreading Torah, by spreading Torah. Now, it's a very important point. Now, I want to go into Lemach. Lemach in Bereshit. This is a very important subject. Lemach in Genesis was the first one to take two wives, and he had children that were not taught, and as a result emphasized things that were not so important. Let me explain. Again, there are two lemachs in the Torah. One lemach is the father of Noah, the righteous Noah. The other lemach was a descendant of Cain, and he had two wives, and he had three children. And the Torah goes into detail to give us the avocation or the work that these children were involved in. And you have Yabal, Yubal, and Tubal-Cain. Yabal, Yubal, and Tubal-Cain. Now, Tubal-Cain was a research metallurgy, and he created many things and out of metal, including the bed that Og, Melech HaBoshan, slept on. That's included in the Torah, to show that he customized furniture. Og, the giant, was 9 amos tall, which translates into 13 feet. So in order to make a bed, you need people, skilled craftsmen, to do so. And Yabal was a businessman. He invented the portable tent so that the people, the grazers, the shepherds could move around to different pastures, and at the same time didn't have to return home every night. So Yabal and Tubal-Cain teamed up, and they created many products, including swords and weapons of war, but also for consumption for the individuals. Butter and guns. They created a great deal of wealth. They created a great deal of wealth, and people saw this, and instead of working on a spirituality, they went in and created household products and different objects out of metal, and Yabal was a businessman, and he spread this consumption of these goods all over the civilized world, and as a result, people gravitated toward this lifestyle. And to top it all off, you have Yubal, another one of the brothers, who invented the wind musical instruments, or pleasure. So that combination was very appealing to the masses, and they forgot all about Adam and his instructions, and the people forgot about spirituality, went downhill, and as a result, entertainment was high. And they went to all kind of entertainment with Yubal inventing these wind instruments, and it was something that wealth accumulated, and as it says in Genesis, they took off they took the women of the lowly people, and promiscuity and all kinds of immorality took place, and it just slided right downhill, the whole humanity, and de-emphasized spirituality, the oneness of God, until Noah took the scene, and he was given a charge, the 7 mitzvahs, commandments of Noah, which are included in the Torah, aka the Old Testament, a Jewish Bible. So we can learn a lot from the Jewish Bible, and we see throughout that is an important point to understand, that we have to, and God has to, give in his altruistic nature soul, food, good deeds, so that we can improve mankind at his demise, to earn a good mark. Now, that was Lamech and Moshe, and Noah came to the fore, and he was given 7 commandments, right? There is one God, one God, and do not blaspheme the name, treat it with respect, no adultery, no murder, no stealing, set up a court system, and being kind to animals. So those are the 7 mitzvahs. So we have to follow them like because they're incorporated in the Torah. So Noah tried to stop the slide, but he wasn't successful, and the world continued back into its old ways again, humanity. So God created a new force to counter the activities of Lamech and humanity, which is going in bed. It's going into a very bad avenues, and he saw the resume of Abraham, who on his own figured out the Torah, the oral Torah, and that you can look. You should have a pen and look in Genesis 26:5, and God and God gave to Abraham the ability to learn out the oral Torah. And 26:1 to 26:5, 26:1 to chapter 26:1 to chapter 26:5, Isaac was in the land of Gerar, which is present day Gaza. And God told Isaac to look around from where you are, and all the lands that you see will belong to you and your descendants, and which he did. And God gave him that because, and his descendants, those lands of Gaza, because Abraham on his own figured out the oral Torah, and that was his reward. So, in addition, he gave all the nations of of Canaan over to the Jewish people because they were committing human sacrifices. And he drove them out and gave the land to the Jewish people, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their descendants. So God gave the ability to counteract the downhill slide by giving the Torah to the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, like we say every morning in the prayer. It says God made a covenant with Abraham. He made a oath with Isaac, and he made a immovable law for Jacob that they should inhabit the land as God's Shekhinah essence will dwell amongst them, and they followed and lived by these precepts of the Torah, so that they will live a moral life, and more importantly, gain soul food for the next world, right? Soul food, S-O-U-L. And you feel the soul when you do a good deed, when you do a commandment. And that's what happened when we get a good commandment, like for instance, I'll give you a kasha, a commandment, and see what you think of it. You know, we just recently read about the spies who gave a negative report about the land of Israel. And you wonder how they gave such a negative report, because after all, the whole civilized world had fear of the Jewish people. We say every day in Oz Yashir how the Philistines were feared greatly. The chiefs of Edom were besides themselves. Even a generation later, Rachav of Jericho, she said that when the two read the book of Jericho of Joshua, and you see what happened over there. That she told those Jews that were reconnoitering the land that the people are afraid of you, and they will melt in your presence. But she said, "Do me a favor and save my family, because we'll put a crimson ribbon in the window, and you will save us." So that's what she did. But the point is, how did they bring a negative report? And listen to this answer. I think that Chabad Rabbi Schneerson gave this as this Devar Torah, because the Jews, these 10 leaders of the nations, princesses, outstanding, knowledgeable men, gave a negative report because they didn't want to set up a nation. They didn't want to set up a nation. They wanted the succor, the loving kindness of God, and giving them the necessities for life, and as a result, didn't want the burden of setting up a nation with all the demands that a government requires of the people, all the ministries and what have you. They wanted the same status quo, that God should take care of them, right? So that's a kasha and a terror. why the 10 tribes, there were 10 gave a negative report. And I'll give you another kasha. That's one kasha. Another kasha is, you know, we read a couple of weeks ago in the Seder Bahar, in Numbers, it said over there that talked about Shemitah, given these details of the seventh year, how the land should be fallow, no work should be permitted on it. And it gives details about leket, peyo, the corners of your field you shouldn't leave over, you should leave over, and the gleanings, it's for the poor, and the animals can eat whatever they want, and you have to check on the animals if there's enough food outside, so that if not, you have to bring it inside. It's all kind of details of Shemitah. Why, of all the mitzvahs, was Shemitah given at this part of the Torah? Why was it given? And the answer is, just like whenever we do a commandment or a directive that is written in the Torah, we have to sacrifice that time that we could be doing other things and making parnasa or taking care of our family. But we have to sacrifice that time because we have faith. We have faith that God will reimburse us for sacrificing, for sacrificing our time, and He will reimburse us. And Shemitah, we have to sacrifice time of the entire year by not working the fields. And we have faith that even though we will not do the fields and plowing and harvesting, but we have faith that God will reimburse us. We have faith that God will reimburse us. So that's it. But let's get back to Lemach, right? Lemach gave over those time-consuming business and manufacturing and entertainment at the expense of Judaism and good deeds and learning Torah. So God made a covenant to stop that slide, and even brought the mass. So he picked Abraham, and he made a covenant with him, an everlasting covenant, the covenant between the pieces. And look it up, the covenant that he made, and still to reinforce the covenant, he brought the masses of Jewish people at Sinai to hear on Shavuos, the 6th of Sivan, to hear the 10 Commandments. Nothing was given physically, but the people stood in front of Mount Sinai. They heard the commandments, and the Hebrew word ve'ele, and all these, meaning all the civil laws, ve'ele, were given at that time. All was given on the 6th of Sivan, and they were enumerated over there in Shemos, Exodus. So that's what God told Moses to put him to read all this teaching that I taught them at Sinai, and he read it to them, and then he said, writing in a book, Sefer HaBris, the Book of the Covenant, and he concluded all of those previous teachings in the Book of the Covenant, and he read it to them. That was on the 6th of Sivan. That was Shavuos. And so the next day he went up. Moses was told to go up to the mountain, and he on 7th of Sivan, and he stayed there till the 17th day of Tammuz, a month of Tammuz. That is 40 days. 6th of Sivan to the 7th of Sivan to the 7th of Tammuz. The month Tammuz is 30 days. 10 more days from is 30 and that was 30 days, and this 17th was 17 days later when he saw the people going astray. Altogether 40 days, right? And on the 17th of Tammuz, 10 days from 30 is 40. 6th of Sivan to the 6th of Tammuz is 30. Another 10 days, which brings it to the 17th of Tammuz, was when Moses came down and broke the first tablets, the original tablets that God had given him. So that's a whole a subject in itself. But in order to stop the slide, he gave them the Sefer HaBris, the Book of the Covenant, and he also spoke again to the masses, and they said, Nasa V'nishma at that time. Nasa V'nishma. We will do, and we will learn, or we will understand. Meaning, another pshat is that throughout the ages, the leaders of the Jewish people will reinforce the teachings of the Torah through the Medrash, right? Another generation compiled the Zahar, and then we have the Mishnah, and another generations we have all kind of teachings from the greatest rabbis, the Rambam and Ramban, and the Goyim period. So, in order to we were in 8:2 in Deuteronomy. I afflicted you and tested you to see if you kept the commandments. Again, I afflicted you and tested you to see what is in your heart. Whenever it says heart, it means mind. I afflicted you and tested you to see what's in your mind, to see whether you kept the commandments or not. And so that's what happened. We keep on recalling, emphasizing to the Jewish people, our brothers and sisters, and to all humanity, the importance of learning the Bible that was dictated to Moses, by God to Moses, and in Deuteronomy 7, chapter 17, I think it's 31, chapter 31, Deuteronomy 17, or 24, 31, 24, and God will be, God will, you will be, again, 31:17 says you will be for devouring. If God turns his face from you, you will be for devouring. That's in 31:17. Write it down, check it out. 31:17 and 31:24. God dictated the entire 5 books of Moses in Deuteronomy, right? Dictated the entire Bible, the Jewish Bible we're talking about. and we are to review it, constantly reviewing, because man has a short memory, and that's why we have to learn Torah. Of all the good deeds that we do, learning Torah is more important, and to stay on track and not fall by the wayside like it happened in the time of Lemach, where his sons went after materialism in this world and forgot about Judaism. And that's how we have in recent days, before World War II, Germany, where the plague started, where our brothers and sisters were taken aback, and the greatest defection of Jewish souls to assimilation, intermarriage, idol worshiping, taking over their church and worshiping their man God. So that's what it says. If God hides his face, you will be for devouring. And you know, in 33, in Exodus 33, after they committed the sin of the golden calf, God tells them to go forward to the promised land that I promised your people. 33:1 in Numbers, it gives the delineations of the border. And I will send an angel before you, because if I go before you by myself, I will annihilate you on the road, R-O-A-D. In an instant, I will annihilate you. So I'm sending forth the angel, my angel, to lead you on the way. But Moses said, please, God, we want the status quo. We will behave ourselves, and we want you to come with us. So God said, okay, I will do as you want. But that's another thought that you should put under your pillow, literally, because where do you get these information from? From the Torah, and you got to review it constantly. Forget about those old things. Help God, and by helping all people to reinvigorate their soul and improve their soul, because as it says in Koheles, the soul returns to God who gave it. Now, you see, this is an ongoing, there was a Jewish soldier who was killed, and it says, may God take revenge for his blood that was shed. May God take revenge. We don't take revenge, but our God will take revenge against our enemies. And today, they're marking the 3rd year of the war between Ukraine and Russia, and it's the Pale of Settlements. What does it mean, Pale of Settlements? That area, that border between Russia and Ukraine, was where the Jews were forced to live. And it's called the Pale of Settlements. They threw them out from other places, and they lived in the Pale of Settlements. And then eventually they killed, murdered 33,000 in 3 days, machine gunned them. 33,000 they machine gunned. Jewish men, women, and children. Where's the genocide over there? Yeah, and who's in charge of that operation? Zelensky, a Jew. Our parents are both Jewish. And he's seeing the revenge that God is taking against the descendants of those murderers, those Russian and Ukrainian and Germans who machine gunned them. God will take revenge if you hurt the Jewish people. Whoever curses the Jewish people will be cursed, and whoever blesses them will be blessed. And we see it unfold in our eyes. You know, there's I don't know, so there's a lot to talk about, but one here's a map, and over here is the Pale of Settlements. It's a Pale of Settlements where the Jews were dumped, and then eventually machine gun at Kiev, right? That's where Babi Yar is, and Kiev, Ukraine. And the Jew Zelensky, he's overseeing it. Not that he realizes what his forefathers went through. Okay, there's a lot to talk about. There's one nation that is lovable to the Jewish people, and it's called the Nishrabbi Indigenous Indian Nation in Ottawa, Canada. So they, the chief, it's on Arba Sheva, Nishabli. They have they're the indigenous, original owners of the land. And they have one nation, Indian, one nation, and they set up a consulate in Israel. And they love the Jewish people because they know what we're going through and how they took his land and how they tried to take our land. So much for that. And now we can touch on the dates. Well, before that, we have to every day see the wonders that God created. And again, I bring a leaf. This is from the fig tree. I have it in a very conspicuous place because the figs don't come out from a blossom, but they come out from the stem. And there's no blossom. The fig just keeps growing small until it ripens. But look at the transportation system that is bringing all kind of material from the roots all the way to the leaves and to the fruit, combining that with photosynthesis and the veins of the leaf, bring it to the stem and bring it to the roots. That's the photosynthesis that's produced in the leaves from the sun, 93 million miles away. What a miracle! These are things that we should realize and understand. When I say understand, I think I went through this before, but understand. Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do and we will understand. Just like we will understand the Torah is explained to us in the 8th generation because man has a short memory, right? Has a short memory. Okay, so when we talk about school, look, the Jews are to be a light into the nations, and we're not aesthetic people like the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Qumran, those people who were asceticism, and they were cut off from the rest of the civilization and learned and studied. But we're not like that. We have to mingle in with the crowd, maintain our own presence, and by example show the correct way. So, what was I going to say? So that's the aesthetic quality that we shun, unlike other people that have holy men cloister themselves and speak in the name of religion. But you know, the Haredi, their school system is such that they have the secular subjects from 5 to 7 p.m. And the whole day is with learning Torah. Learning Torah. And you know, I daven a Haredi shul, and because of my health condition, I couldn't walk that far on Shabbos. So over there, the youngsters, they don't speak English very well, but they know every little detail of the Torah, every little detail, and the day schools, they don't measure up to them. They don't measure up to them because the day schools have a half a day of learning, and then a half a day of secular studies. And then they have all kinds of speakers coming in to them, politicians and parades and assemblies, and graduation. What a farce that is, a graduation, kill a whole day. Everyone graduates. What a farce that is, that they copied from the Gentile society. Yeah, Haredi don't have that. So that thing, but the point is, they're not able to, the Haredis are not able, you know, the black hat and the long payas and the strommels that they wear and all of that. They're not able to delegate that to the outside community, and they're not fearful to go in the streets and look like a Jew, right? But the Ashkenazim, day school movement, they have, you know, they're into both worlds and a master of none, because when they come back from Israel after a year of study where they work hard, now I start to see what I missed, and now I want to go back and review and see what else there is to learn, and different things of why, for instance, the Abraham descendants went into exile for 400 years. Right off the top of the head, but the English is not good. The English is not good. Only Chabad. Now I don't want to switch legions. I mean, we're all together. But Chabad, I'm like in the Rebbe business, and you know, I have behold the people. Rejoice, O youth. There's another must-have. Rejoice, O youth, by Miller, the same Rabbi Miller. Rejoice, O youth. So that's what we have to do. But God, we have to, you know, Chabad, don't mess with Chabad. They're organized. You know, well, the Ashkenazim, they produce great rabbis, and they pulpit rabbis, but they can't support a family, so they have to have a half a day, make it a half a day job, and they're beholden to the president. They can't make their own laws where everybody's got to learn Mishnah and Torah, where they got to listen to the rabbi give a speech, the sermon, and you listen to the president of the shul, and you can't put in where all the people are learning. Where are all the people? The rabbis, good rabbis, but they're handcuffed. We're a half-a-day job. The rabbinate is a full-time job to teach the members of the congregation, to set up study halls for them. They are failing miserably. But one thing we got to know is that in spite of our rejections of God and revolting against Him, God will never break His covenant with man. That's with the Jewish people. That's in Leviticus chapter 26:44. 26 chapter. Look it up. Write it down. 26:44. That in spite of being revolted by them, I will never annul my covenant with them. All right. So. Now, it's a very interesting kasha here on in Numbers. It speaks about the numbers, and it gives the numbers of the tribe, the figures that they counted up, and everything was rounded off to hundreds, right? 47,500. 42,600, except one tribe, and that was the tribe of Gad, G-A-D. He was counted 45,651. 51. He wasn't rounded off. Why? Because God, from him came, that's a kasha, right? It's a good kasha, you feel good. What's that good feeling? That's your soul. God, from him came the prophet Eliyahu Hanavi, and he will bring back every Jewish soul. Just like the God was counted to every man and woman, so God was his descendant Eliyahu Hanavi will bring back every man and woman. So yeah, day school reconsider. So we went over this, that reconsider v'yanachem, right? God, Moses was up on a mountain, pleading with God, v'yachel, profusely, up on a mountain. He said to God, please forgive them. So God answered him, v'yanachem, and I will reconsider. I will reconsider. By the way, we say that on every fast day. God will reconsider our sins, and He will take that great sin that we did on the golden calf. He will give a little bit of that punishment, retribution, every time we do a sin, right? So that's v'yanachem, v'yanachem. So we have to remember that we have to work at our learning, and every week we say in a portion of the Torah, because we have to recall it, and Deuteronomy, we have to recall it in the teachings, like we understood, Nasa v'nishma. We will do, and we will understand. All the rabbis of the succeeding generations give us chizuk and beautiful thoughts to keep us in line and not fall prey to the Germans. Now, the biggest. Here's I have so much things over here. I'm running out. Here is a picture of in 1982, Joe Biden with Menachem Begin, and Menachem Begin came to Joe Biden, senator from Delaware, and asked for, and Biden threatened him to cut off aid. Menachem Begin replied, "Don't threaten us with cutting off your aid. It will not work. I am not a Jew with trembling knees. I am a proud Jew with 4,000 years of civilized history. Nobody came to our aid when we were dying in the gas chambers. Nobody came to our aid when we were striving to create our country. We paid for it. We fought for it. We died for it. We will stand by our principles. We will defend them, and when necessary, we will die for them again, with or without your aid." So the BBC is such an anti-Semitic organization. They just love to talk about how the poor Gazians are suffering. And, you know, America, they bomb Hiroshima, they bomb Nagasaki with A-bombs, and they surrendered. Don't tell us that the Jews are committing genocide. The leaders of these Arabs, if they want to, worry about their people, surrender. You are given wonderful terms, but don't say that it's the Jews that are bombing them. They're hiding missiles and bombs in children's bedrooms and all kind of underground passages in hospitals and what have you. And the BBC keeps fermenting the problem by not saying, "Give up, Hamas, give up, Hamas." Look, for peace, the Jewish people gave up land for peace. Here, this is 1967, 93, and 01. 67, they had all this land over here. 93, they gave it back. 93, they were smaller, and 201, they even set them up in the Samaria and Judea, and now the civilization rule, civilized rule in Samaria and Judea. And who was the first one to come out and criticize Israel? Germany. You're doing a wrong thing. Germany, the ones that invented the gas chambers for the Jews. God will remember you, and in absentia, try all those criminals that Einschütz group up went around murdering Jews before the gas chambers. God will remember. God will remember. There, 5 to 7 p.m. That's the time for secular studies, and the goal is to love to learn Torah, love to learn Torah, and the day schools. There's a half-a-day sessions for Torah. You can't do the job right. It's a full-time job, and they have to not waste time. And the pulpit's got to be a place where the people got to take out their books and learn whatever they're learning. We will not be bullied. Yeah, Bobby. This is the women that defend themselves and in Israel. Here, the one nation. Let them not worry about Israel and God-given land to them. Let them worry about the United States, where they took their land and did not reimburse them for the Ben Jerry. The tribe of Abel was in Vermont. They pushed them out of Vermont over the border to Canada, where they still reside. Let Ben Jerry worry about his own house before he criticizes Israel. That Israel was given to the Jewish people, and the boundaries were given in the Bible. That's where we stand. Not you're hypocrites and talking about things that don't pertain to you. Yeah. So how do? We vote Republican. We vote Republican. And I hope Nikki Haley gets it. But if Trump gets it, I'll vote for him too. Yeah, he did so much for the Jewish people. So yeah. So here's the land where it was divided. Over there in Joshua, it says over there, Joshua, I think chapter 10, I'm not sure, but it says he was conquering the land. So God said, it's enough, you're getting old, I want you to divide what we have. And what was left over? A southwest portion of the land, which is Gaza, southwest. They divided the land for all they had conquered, and they didn't have time to conquer the Gaza. So God won't forget. We're conquering it now. That's part of the God-given land, right? And in absentia, we should, yeah. And in absentia, we try those Einsatzgruppe, Einsatzgruppe, where they went around murdering poor innocent Jews. God will not forget, right? And here, it's Jews, anti-Semitism. Like 4 or 5 times in Toronto, they broke windows in a synagogue, shot at a girls' school. Well, where's peace and justice? Canada, worry about your indigenous people and give them the land that you took from them. Don't worry about Israel. And the same thing goes for the sin, the nations of Spain, Norway, and I stands for Ireland. Oh, Ireland is such anti-Semitic during the Second World War. They wouldn't take any Jewish refugees. That's Ireland. But they're the first to get on a bandwagon to bring the Jewish nation to court, and together with Spain. Let them, there's a province in Spain, give them their independence. And Norway, the Quislings, yeah. So all of every time, Ben Gvir says, every time they set up a nation against us, we'll set up a town in Samaria and Judea. But remember the first thing that we taught, and that is a Torah chain. Torah chain message. It'll go on just like the chain letter. We'll teach it, right? Look, I love your neighbor by yourself as yourself, and look at ourselves. We do things that are not so really great, but then gloss over them. So the same thing is with our neighbors. We look at them and see what they see the bad points and gloss over them and love them. Love every Jew, and that's paramount. You know, we're talking about Chabad. They tried to do a quickie on, I think it was Atlantic Beach last year. Chabad took over bought legally a residence which was by the ocean, and wanted to set up a Jewish community center there, not bothering anybody, following the rules and regulations. And by eminent domain, they took that parcel of land and said, we need it for the town. Oh, Chabad got the heavy hit of that. They got pro bono. Yeah, they got pro bono, the top attorneys. And those Jewish anti-Semites in Atlantic Beach, I think it was, they have to pay thousands of dollars for this gross negligence of doing anti-Semitism, and pay all the people that are involved for several $100,000 for what they did. So don't mess with Chabad. But the bottom line is, the only criticism I have about Chabad is that I don't go for the Rebbe pit, and I don't I subscribe to too many sermons. The people have got to work on their own. Get the new book, Rejoice, O Youth. Rejoice, O Youth, by Victor Miller. You got Behold the People. Get Rejoice, O Youth. Read the portion of the week in English. Read it every day, a couple words of it. And if you want to get an explanation of those words, look at Rashi or look at the Chumash by Victor Miller. Each portion of the Torah is broken down to give explanation for each thing. Okay, Talmud time is we didn't get to Talmud time. Amos from when to when do we read the Shema Yisrael prayer in the evening? From what time? From the time that the Kohanim enter to eat their truma. From the time the Kohanim enter to eat their truma. Oh, what time is that? Give me a break. I want a simple answer. It's because the time varies with the sunset. Okay, look, get the English translation of the Talmud. The first one is called Barachos, blessings. With that, I'm going to terminate this session of Yeshiva Classroom, and tell your friends, if they like it, if you like it, to tune in for a few minutes. And remember the chain message, to friends. Let them work on it before they pass it on. Let them work on it before they pass it on. With that, I wish you all the best.